Mm. Blessings. March. I'm so excited to be doing this on the 3rd of the 3rd. It's its own little portal, the 3rd of the 3rd. To share with you the March overview. Whew, it is dynamic, okay? We are in for a huge month of lots of astrological shifts, upgrades, power, just movement, growth, new beginnings. There is so much available to us in March. It's not funny. I really believe it's one of the most powerful months of the entire year of 2020. So I've got a page full of notes that I want to dive into. I hope that 2020 has been treating you well so far. I mean, it's been full. And look, 2 months has really felt like 8 months. It feels like we've actually conquered lifetimes just in 8 weeks. Literally, it's been 8 weeks of this new decade, and it really does feel like 8 months. So much growth, exponential growth. Just this year is so phenomenal. This new decade, and this is what I've been waiting for. I mean, for me, this is just home. And I feel like for the past decade, I've been waiting for this huge global wake up, this conscious connection and alignment into self, and how that infiltrates in our everyday lives on the collective, collective consciousness rising. We're in big times. We've seen so much unfold just in 8 short weeks of this decade. Yes, 8 short weeks. Can you believe that? It's frigging rad and hectic and fucking mad, right? So much is happening. So much is still crumbling. So many realities are crumbling at the moment, especially false ones. That's what's happening. False realities are falling. They are crumbling. False gurus, false relationships, false friendships, false personas, false masks, false business choices, false rituals, false everything. It's all being destroyed. It's all being crumbled. I mean, one of the most prominent common things I've been saying the past year is there is no more rug for things to be swept under. The rug no longer exists, okay? Like, it's gone. It's completely annihilated. The rug was destroyed. It's Aladdin now. It's up in the sky. It's magic. It's gone. There is nowhere to hide. And this is great for some people, For others, it's difficult. It's challenging. They are facing themselves constantly. And that is what this new 5D, 6D paradigm is about, is the sovereignty of your own self, your own truth, your own wisdom, your own journey, your own path, and facing yourself in all of those moments, in coming into each edge and each facet of yourself. Not sweeping problems underneath the rug, because there is no rug. Not pretending and hoping that everything will go away and change. This is the new normal. We are energetically, physically catching up to the new normal. And it's going to take some people decades to really integrate this. It really will. For others, not so much. But this is fast-moving times. Like, the quickening, which has been building for a long time, is here. And ultimately, it can be treacherous for some. It can be treacherous and so new into this decade. The shifts and transformations on a global level, on a consciousness level, wide, but then on an individual level has been just mind-blowing, right? Like, literally mind-blowing. Watching and observing has been, no words, actually. Like, no words. Let me talk about March, because there's not a whole lot that can sum up what we've been going through. We're feeling it, we're experiencing it, and as long as you aren't pushing it under the rug and trying to avoid it and evade it, you will meet yourself in that moment time and time and time again. And this is amazing times for us to be alive. Phenomenal. if I do say so myself. Phenomenal. And March is going to be one of these months, one of these very exciting months. Now, there is a lot going on in March. So let me get to it. Ultimately, to start with, numerologically, it's a 7-month. So the third month in a 4-year, obviously 4 and 3 is 7. We can do that maths. That's one bit of maths that I can do. So 7 is very much about spiritual transformation. It's about change. It's an odd number, so there is change, shifts, asking the deeper questions, a deeper spiritual awakenings, again, being pushed to your edges, alignment. If you are not in alignment in a 7-month or a personal 7-year, if you're in a personal 7-year this year, if you're not in alignment, you could be, if you're not listening to yourself, things happen. 7s are what Ian White calls the Mack truck year, because often it feels like you've been hit by a Mack truck. They are very deeply spiritual and enlightening, but the thing is that if you are off course and not following your soul and listening to your soul, a lot of external events, situations will come at you for you to get back on track, for you to learn what you need to learn and move away from the fake path or the unhappy, unfulfilled life that you may be living and trying to avoid. The 7 comes along and shakes that shit up, okay? And it's a very powerful month on all fronts. So 7-month energetically, numerologically. Liquid crystal, angelite, okay? So angelite is actually, its simple purpose is around peace. So I find this very interesting because we have some very profound conjunctions coming up in March. Mars, the planet of action and initiation and the warrior, but anger and war as well, but movement, is hitting Jupiter and hitting Pluto. We also have Jupiter hitting Pluto, okay? And then at the end of the month, we have Mars and Saturn hitting each other as well. So there is a lot of powerful conjunctions. So this is a very dynamic, profound sort of energy to get a lot done, projects off the ground, get moving, have courage, be courageous. And that could just be taking off a mask and being who you are. It could be as simple as that. I like to keep things less complicated because I do believe that where there is complication, there is ego, and where there is simplicity, there is God. So for me, life is simple, and it's about less distractions, more simplicity, less distractions, more alignment, and coming into that. And this month, with angelite being the overriding crystal theme, which is peace, I find it fascinating because Mars can trigger anger. Now, I wouldn't say a conjunction's like, it's not an opposition or a square. It's a powerful energy of these two planets, but it could bring up a lot of inner restlessness or repressed anger. And because we also have very strong black moon Lilith, which is just that, dark side of the moon, it can be rage and fierceness, conjunct Chiron, the wound, there is a lot of that already playing out this year, okay? So this month with these dynamic activations in Capricorn, I mean, we're all lubed up when it comes to Capricorn. We are lubed and slippery. But the thing is that now Mars is going to go and have his way with us. And I feel that this to be very positive, actually. Mars is dynamic and forward moving, progressive. It's the beginning of the zodiac and he's in Capricorn. So he's happy, he's getting stuff done. It's very productive. We're getting things done. Very productive. So he's coming in to touch all of these Capricorn planets that we've been playing in for a long time now. It's become the norm. Mars is coming in to shake it up a little bit, okay? To actually even ask you, where can you put all of the trials and tribulations that you have had into action for a positive outcome? Yeah? So angelite being this undertone crystalline frequency, which is of peace, can help us to feel peace in the mind and emotions. Now, she's going to help if you're feeling unsettled, conflicted, turmoil, and general discord, which I feel some people may be feeling in March. If you're wasting your expressive energies via anger, aggression, fear, doubt, and worry. I mean, okay, let's just take a little unpack that. Anger, Mars. Aggression, Mars. Fear, Saturn. Doubts, Saturn. Worries, probably Saturn. But all these 5 are so in alignment with what's happening in the world. There is a lot of fear out there at the moment, and fear and gratitude, fear and grace, fear and love cannot coexist. Okay? So where there is fear, there can't be trust. There can't be trust in the divine. There can't be trust in us moving forward. There can't be trust in truth if there is fear present. So many living in fear. So Angelite can help with that. She can soothe that. Okay? She can, keep you calm, settled, soothed, peace of the mind and emotions, a better structure in your outgoing energies so that they're infused with peace and harmony. So that's just a little around the Angelite component of that. I think it's so fascinating with such a dynamic month that Angelite, this soft, light blue crystal, which is very much about angelic communication and telepathy, but very peaceful, soothing communication stuff. But that if you're wasting your energies in fear and worry, I mean, don't. There is so much untruth going around at the moment on all levels. But like I said, everything's crumbling still. Everything is crumbling. There is nowhere to hide for anyone. So I find this very, very fascinating. And what I have really been pulled to march in is what I've called EI. Not AI, not artificial intelligence. Fuck artificial. That word doesn't even go into my vocab. Emotional intelligence. That is what I am calling March. It is going to test people's self-control, show people's emotional maturity, show their emotional wisdom, and show their emotional growth. So everything that you've been working on, if you have, will be put under the test as Mars activates all of these planets. And as, it's like a crescendo coming up with all of this Capricorn stuff. Mars is, only comes into Capricorn every 2 years. In 2 more years, Saturn, even though Saturn and Mars meet in Aquarius, so exciting. But Jupiter won't be in Capricorn in 2 years. Pluto will still be in Capricorn in 2 years, but Saturn won't, Jupiter won't. So, the South Node won't. We have had the lubed Capricorn stuff, and now Mars is sort of making this final hurrah of, right, can you take action? Can you move forward? Can you really be who you say you are? That's a big thing with this month. Can you be who you say you are? Because the test will come down to your own EI, your own emotional intelligence. How emotionally grounded are you? A lot of people talk around that word grounded, and I sort of wrote a big sort of chapter article about it a few years ago. That it's actually, being grounded is actually about being emotionally mature. It's about being emotionally stable. So yes, earthing and going and putting your feet on the earth, we work with the earth every day. Well, I do. And she is the greatest teacher and the greatest healer. She doesn't have perceptions. She doesn't have an agenda. She doesn't have anything that's tainted. We all do as humans, okay? That's just a fact. Nature is our greatest teacher. So being grounded is actually about being emotionally stable. And this month will test people's emotional stability because we're going to see anger or reactivity as opposed to response or emotional maturity, how much you've grown. So that's sort of how I'm feeling, this month is going to give these little tests, okay? The fact that, look, Mars hits Jupiter on the 19th. This is, some of the little words I've put here are courage, to have courage, to ask for what you want, to go out and get what you want, to take the risk, take the plunge, this is a great time for new projects. There is a lot of energy, a lot of initiative, passion, dynamic passion. I mean, Jupiter is the biggest planet in our zodiac, and Mars is dynamic. And whatever Jupiter is touching, he expands. So we're going to feel like we have a lot of energy to get stuff done. And if the only thing you do is maybe just go for a run, expend some energy, the worst thing you could do is just sort of like sit still all day. You know, with all of this Martian activation, you want to be moving. You want your body to be moving. And then we glide into Aries month. Aries season comes up on the 20th of this month. So this is the new astrological year, my friends. This is exciting. We are in the end of the astrological year. So once the sun moves into dynamic Aries, 0 degrees of Aries, cardinal, autumn equinox, this is a pivotal point. This is a reference point of new beginnings, expansion. It is around our own cycles, our own growth. Okay. So, you know, Mars hits Jupiter the day before this. So it's going to be exponential energy. Oh, excuse me. That was like a little tiny burp. Sorry about that. Then on Mars the 22nd, yeah, let's call March Mars. Even though it's Pisces season, like I get that, it's Pisces season, but it feels so much richer. Not in a, like, it just feels so much more dynamic, like there's so much energy to be had in March. So yes, whilst we still want to tune in, the sun is still in Pisces until the 20th. So it's very, you know, deep, dreamy, spiritual. Mercury moves out of retrograde the day of the full moon. So this is, you know, there is some beautiful, beautiful movement. That's really what it is. March is movement. It's productive. There is shifts, you know, there is new alignments coming in for us, new messages, new activations coming in. Big time, big time. So many new activations. On March the 22nd, Mars hits Pluto. Now, this is power, drive. To me, it's a drive to transform, a drive to ascend, a drive to understand the inner workings of what's going on. Again, this is a lot of energy. There is a lot of power, a lot of energy here. And this is sort of where this emotional intelligence will come in, because I feel that with Mars hitting Pluto and Jupiter and all this big Capricorn activations, you know, we have to watch ego, anger, power tripping, domineering, ruthlessness, selfishness, resentments. These things are the shadow side of the dynamic energy that we have to actually move forward and grow. You know, what have you outgrown? Like, it's like, you know, you've outgrown clothes, you've outgrown shoes. It's like you've been squished into something. It's time to fuck that off and move into a new space. You know, this is a time of not holding on, especially from the 10th to the 24th. Okay, from the 10th of March to the 24th is what's called the dark moon. It is the last darkness of the astrological year. We go from full moon to new moon. Full moon in Virgo on March the 10th, Queensland time. This is happening at 3:47 a.m. And then on the 24th of March, the new moon in Aries at 7:57 p.m. So that 2 weeks is a solid portal of dark moon, release, purge, let go. What are you not taking with you into this new astrological year? And with all of these activations of Mars and Pluto and Jupiter, like, there are big dynamic forces at play. So ego and resentments and domineering and ruthlessness can play out if you're in shadow or you're seeing it play out in other people. And this is where your self-control will be tested. It will show you how much work you have done on yourself. I always love those tests, to be honest. It happened to me this morning. This entire bottle was full of water after the gym. And this little bastard wasn't on properly. So my gym bag, by the time I got home, was a lake, a beautiful, beautiful lake of purified water. And my whole phone was submersed in that beautiful lake of purified water. And I didn't even feel angry. I just went, oh shit. And then I took my phone out and I dried it. I tipped my bag upside down. It's all drying outside. Then my phone wouldn't charge because, hello, there's water up in the little thing. I'll put it in some rice. It'll be okay. It's all good. And I just noticed how calm I was. And, you know, it's only water and it's only things, but the triggers and the tests that come show your true growth. Not when everything's going great, I'm manifesting, I'm selling fucking events out, I'm doing all that stuff. That's great. But what's happening every day is the enlightenment. Yeah? That is the magic. So this Mars-Pluto activation, watch inner rage, watch suppressing and burying your anger, because if it comes out, it could be explosive. And again, this is where there are no rugs anymore. Whatever you've been trying to hold, contain, hide, suppress, it's got nowhere to go but out from here on in. Forever and ever, amen. This Mars-Pluto energy is like a force to be reckoned with. Like, this is claiming your own power. It's very sexy if you feel the intensity to have some raunchy sex. It's intense energy, but it's also penetrates what's buried as well. So if you're doing any sort of like psychosomatic work or healing work, which I'm doing some very profound energetic work at the moment on myself, and it is blowing my mind and perfect. This is a very dynamic energy. I mean, you look at Mars. Mars is like, he's phallic. He's got the arrow, and Pluto's the underworld. It's sort of like Mars is going in there. Psychic surgery, releasing things that we no longer want to carry with us. I mean, it's only 2 days before that new moon in Aries, which really kicks off that astrological new year. Well, the astrological new year is on the autumn equinox. That is on the 20th, okay? Like, that is when this dynamic energy begins and we start. But the first new moon of that is on the 24th. So we've got sort of 4 days to still release, go for an ocean swim, cleanse, release stuff, purge, let go. And, walk into this new path, choose to walk a different way as you create your future. It's a very creative time too with Mars and Pluto to work on passion projects. Very, very, very creative. And then Jupiter and Pluto come together. Now, this is big transformation, big power. Again, this can be jewels hidden from inside of you. Now, coming up, I mean, you're discovering your inner jewels. It's, it can be like buried treasure. What's been buried and you're bringing out to the forefront? What have you buried inside of you that you haven't acknowledged? This can be a time of transforming that and becoming that, embodying that. Yeah. It's again, the word is dynamic. What's possible? What is possible? This energy is very much foundational for our future. So foundational for our future. To me, this Pluto, look, I've got a whole page that I could talk about, and I'm just trying to nutshell everything. Okay. This whole Pluto-Jupiter thing. It's the first of 3 conjunctions, though. This is just the first one. We have 2 more this year as well. Pluto-Jupiter is big drive, so it's big. Big drive, big power, big transformation, lots of effort, expansion, luck, Lady Luck shining her light upon you. This is on the 29th of March. And I say big karma tenfold. Like, this is a very karmic portal. March is karmic within itself. So, we've got all of that going on. We've got angel light, asking us to come back to peace and calm. And if you're finding that you are in turmoil and general discord and all those things, wasting those energies in fear, worry, anger, there's been so much fear, so much worry, and so much anger all over social media and the news and society. And I'm just like, it's such a waste of energy. It really is. By changing your consciousness, that collectively changes everything. And if that's what you are, what you share is what you are. What you speak is what you are. And putting your energy into fear and worry and the words fear and anger, there's been so much anger. And yes, Black Moon, Lilith, and Chiron are together. Like, the feminine is raging at the moment, as she fucking should be after what has been taken place this year. And that's what's coming to fruition. So we want to acknowledge the rage. I get that. But then we want to channel it. We want to channel it for good, calmly, where it can have an impact. You know, you just see people yelling at people, yelling their opinions. It's just like, white noise, distraction, doesn't change anything, doesn't shift the energy. It actually funnels exactly what, society wants, funnels you into this false sense of reality, this false sense of anger and insecurities and fears and dogma, and, just stay hooked into that. Unfucking hook. Question everything. Unhook yourself out of that matrix, because it's actually not alleviating anything. You can't be in gratitude, trust, and living joy if that's where a lot of your energy is going. It just can't happen. So dynamic, huge stuff. Testing your emotional intelligence. Now, I just want to say that this full moon that we're having on March the 10th in Virgo is really beautiful. She's just like such a delicious full moon. She's making a beautiful aspect to Mars, which is about action, so movement, so shake stuff out. If you're up the sunny coast, I'm holding a beautiful Soul Sister Circle event. We're going to be moving, drumming, moving stuff out of us, all around that sort of control, that micromanaging. You can't surrender and want control at the same time. So Virgo can help us to look at where we are wanting control over our lives and where we do want everything the way we want it, and to release that, to let it go. And by moving, because the moon is making this harmonious aspect to Mars, we can shake that shit out, right? Shake it out and shake it off, like shake it off the DNA. So we're going to be doing a little bit of that. And the cool thing is that the full moon in Virgo is ruled by Mercury. That same day, the 10th, Mercury moves forward. So we are going to feel, despite it being going to be a waning moon from full moon to new moon and being in that sort of dark moon phase, that moon dark of the last full moon of the astrological year, which is release and purge. But there's going to be this dynamic forward movement. Mercury's moving forward. The full moon's here to release and clear stuff. And if we want to move stuff out of our body, we have to physically move, not just sit there and just like think about it. We've got to actually do it. Yeah. So Mars is, adding that beautiful do it, don't just think it, do it. And then she makes a beautiful aspect to Jupiter, which I'm just like, this is expansive. We're going to feel all the good stuff, all the good juju. We're going to feel the feelings. We're going to work through them. And it's a dynamic day to release, to let go of stuff, the whole of the 10th. Yeah. Then she also makes a beautiful aspect to Pluto. So this again is transformation. Yeah, releasing and letting go from the deepest levels. We're being invited to do that. This moon is making 3 beautiful trines to Mars, Jupiter, and Pluto, saying it's time. Release. Before you move into the new astrological year, release. And then she actually also opposes Neptune. And this, to me, it's sort of like a double-edged sword. There can be this real spiritual momentum, really tapping in and tuning in spiritually, emotionally, balancing those things out, because it's an opposition. We're balancing out what we need to do on the daily with our spiritual practice. How can you weave them together? That's the Virgo-Pisces polarity. So we want to be organized, but we don't want to be so disorganized that we're off with the fairies wearing the rose-colored glasses, thinking everything's okay, when really it's all being swept under the rug and you're not facing reality. And that's, this is what I wrote here is, don't lie to yourself. If there are things that need to be let go, face them. Don't lie. It just doesn't get you anywhere. And especially these days, the universe is a secret, not so secret bloody spy. So you're never really lying because the truth is always there, and people feel the truth, people know the truth, and the universe, it delivers you with what you really are, not what you say you are, not what you practice you are, but who you actually are. And that is the momentous change that is really up-leveled in 8 weeks of this new decade. So she is a delicious, delicious, delicious full moon. I can't wait for her, and I can't wait for our beautiful ceremony. So then, like I said, the new moon is on the 24th in Aries, planting new seeds, really like moving forward. This is dynamic as fuck. And yes, that's been my word. Sorry about that. It's just such a perfect word for this month. Mercury moves forward the same day as the full moon. What else am I going to talk about here? There's so much, we've got Chiron, the sun meeting Chiron on the 25th. So, I have this aspect in my chart exactly, the sun and Chiron exactly conjunct. The sun is who you are, your purpose, your personality, your ego, you. And Chiron is the wound. And I just wrote here, you are your wound and you are your medicine. And I just kicked off my Everyday Enlightenment portal, which is a 12-month portal with 10 phenomenal women who just leaned straight in. It sold out in 5 seconds. I was just like, fucking hell, this is amazing. And we're doing a 12-month journey, and it's all about you being your own medicine. That's what it's about. It's about how do you show up in your own 4 walls? Not when you're off in retreat at Bali where you're being supported and surrounded. Are those things beneficial? Absolutely. Those things can be very helpful, but they aren't reality. Reality is everyday stuff. And when you can weave in magic and enlightenment to your everyday, my God, I tell you, it's an amazing life. It's the one thing I've been mastering for 20 years. If I could say I'm the master of anything, it's everyday life. And the magic in the mundane and being enlightened in the everyday stuff is there's so much simplicity and purity to it that I can taste it. It's delicious. And the sun and Chiron, is this dynamic energy of that you are your wound, but you are your medicine. You are the key, the master of your own reality. And this is a beautiful conjunction. I mean, I'm saying that because I have this conjunction in my chart. And I love it. And I am my own medicine and I am my own wound. And I don't seek outside of myself. I always come back to me. So we've got that conjunction. Gosh, we've got the Sun and Neptune coming together on the 8th and 9th. This is, whatever Neptune touches dissolves. And I mean, the Sun is our self. So there could feel like this dissolution of self, like no beginnings, no endings. It could be a really just harmonious couple of days where, listen to some music, dance. You want to take, being forewarned is being forearmed. Arming yourself with the awareness to be prepared to actually dive into the magic of these things. So instead of feeling disillusioned on the Sun-Neptune days and feeling scattered and disorientated, which could very much happen, that's all Pisces. Disassociation, escapism, not wanting to be in reality. That's Pisces. Yeah? Rose-colored glasses. Easy way out. But the beauty of it is unconditional love, divine connection to source. Hearing the spheres of music that are energy and being able to magically, go through the veils, go through into the other world on a magical portal of divine, juicy deliciousness. Those 2 days are great high creativity, meditation. Be near the water. Be with nature. And then on the 8th and 9th, Venus and Uranus are conjunct one another. This is dynamic. Again, Uranus is revolutionary and Venus is relationships. So this could be, something spontaneous in your relationship, do something really out of the ordinary, if you get what I mean. This can be that. Or it can be, a changing of your own value system. Just like, right, I just want to make some changes to my value system because that's Venus. Venus is our core values, what we are worth. And Uranus sort of comes in to put a different spin on it. Like, hey, make a change. Make a change. If your relationship's feeling flat and, a bit lifeless, Uranus can come in and spice things up a little bit. Go and do something spontaneous with your partner. Yeah? So this is a really dynamic, exciting, unpredictable aspect as well. I mean, there are so many things going on. I mean, one of the big things that I don't want to miss before I wrap this up is Saturn, for the first time in 30 years, is moving into Aquarius. Okay, so this happens on the 22nd. So master number 22 of the 3rd, 2020, which is 22, 3, 22. So all of this master number energy, that Mars and Jupiter conjunction is at 22 degrees. There is a lot of 22 energy this year in the degrees that we're working with, all the things, okay? I mean, even a Chiron and Black Moon Lilith have been at 4 degrees together. Then they move to 5 degrees together. And then Black Moon Lilith finally starts to move away later and separate in late March. So there is so much 4s and 2s and, it's all very in sync with what this year is about. Foundation, master building, master architect. What are you building for your future? That is Jupiter in Capricorn. Saturn moves into Aquarius, which is he's co-ruled. Okay, so Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So Capricorn's ruler is Saturn, and Aquarius co-ruler is Saturn. So this is another dynamic 2.5 years we're going to get. Yeah. Ultimately, some of the little words that I have around Saturn in Aquarius are genius, progressive, practical. So all of those incredibly genius ideas and innovative ideas, they can be grounded into the practical. Yeah. Because that's what Saturn is. Saturn is practical. He makes material things. He builds structures, and Aquarius invents stuff. So this is a very, very exciting transit. But he's going to move into Aquarius for a few months, and then he is going to retrograde back into Capricorn. And so we're getting a taster. Okay, so pay attention over the next few months at what insights are coming in. What do you feel like the earth under your feet? What's moving? What's shifting? What's grounded? What's anchored? Pay close attention, because this is the preview as to what the theme could be for you individually and for us collectively when Saturn moves into Aquarius in December of 2020 with Jupiter for the next 2.5 years. Okay. This is, grounded realism. This is alchemy. There is so much alchemy to Saturn in Aquarius. It is not funny. So much alchemy. This is a new order. This is the new earth. It really is. This is accelerated advancement. This is group consciousness. I mean, I could go on. Like, we're raising the consciousness, and I don't want to be on here for an hour. So there is, these are big shifts that are happening, big activations that are happening in March. March is a portal of pure potential, productivity, positivity. I can see the shadow of what can happen, but I'm excited by the possibilities that are going to happen, to be completely honest. Mars activating these Saturn planets, these Capricorn planets. There is so much potential here. It's so exciting. Also, there are 4 master number days in March, the 4th, the 13th, the 22nd, and the 31st. So those 4 days, and as we know, the 22nd is when Saturn moves into Aquarius. That is a day that I would be marking on my calendar. It's a master number 11 day. Saturn is moving into his co-ruled sign of Aquarius for the first time in 30 years. This is a big day. And then also I'll just mention that Venus does move into her home sign, which is a breath of fresh air, to be honest. I mean, Venus in Aries isn't her most happiest, it's too much, it's too Aries. Venus is love, harmony, balance. She expresses herself beautifully in her home sign of Taurus. And if you're like me, we are going to have our Venus return because my Venus is in Taurus. So this just, I don't know, there's just feels like this abundant flow of happiness and love weaved into all of this. And she actually makes all these really harmonious aspects to those Capricorn planets too. After Mars has activated them, Venus comes in and she's adding flow and harmony and helping you to see see the beauty in your own life, see the beauty of your own revelations, see the beauty of your own changes and transformations. So this month is so steeped in richness and in power and in positive transformation and of energy and vitality. I mean, it's just not funny. And we want to just be very wary that we're not dropping into ego and tyrannical, relentless, narcissism. selfishness, ruthlessness, that domineering, emotional reactivity. I mean, the question is how emotionally intelligent are you? How grounded, emotionally mature are you? Because all of these things will, you know, be coming up for to be poked and prod. And of course, we have the autumn equinox, which I did sort of mention on the 20th, which, you know, sees us moving into this new astrological year. You know, the autumn equinox is that beautiful reset button. It's where the day is equal, day and night. And, you know, so it's like the earth is at her most purest and balanced. So, you know, it's a time of finding your own inner balance. Like, where are you out of alignment? Where are you out of balance? And coming back into balance. I mean, for me, autumn equinox is my favorite. It's when autumn begins, is the 20th, when the sun moves into Aries. This is a dynamic move because ultimately, when the sun moves into Aries, Mars, the ruler of Aries, is hitting Jupiter. So this is really expansive and profound. It's just like, you know, it's sort of like, you know, you're seeing everything in new, vibrant colors. Vivid. You know, this is a vivid transit. That's what I want to say. The sun moving into Aries while Mars, the ruler of the sun at that time, is in Capricorn, exalted, and hitting Jupiter, the biggest planet in our system. This is just expanded greatness. This is glorious, and it's vivid, vital, juicy, delicious energy that we can dive into. You know, I'm just going to be marinating that day. You know, the autumn equinox for me is my favorite, like I said, and that's when I bow down to the earth. I mean, I do that every day, but I give extra reverence for her. I make a beautiful an earth grid, and I leave that on the earth. And I just be with her and let her guide me and give me anything that I need to know. Hoping for a swim that day, which would be beautiful, in the ocean to cleanse, because it's still the last part of the astrological new year. As in from the moon, on the moon's perspective, it's the new, but until that new moon on the 24th hits, then we'll level up. So it's a huge month. Of course, I could talk about each of those individual things for longer, but we're at 42 minutes and I don't want to take up your entire life with my talking. Wishing you an abundant, dynamic, sensational, power-filled, transformational March. I am like chomping at the bit at how excited I am about March this year. So enjoy so much, beautiful hearts, and thank you for watching me here, and thank you for coming to be with me here. So much love. Mwah.